UCF Ultimate Catfighting. Hello and welcome to Down with the Sickness. That is the title for this UCF podcast. My name is Francis. I'm here with my co-host Clark.
Mom.
And we're sick as can be and have been for about a fucking week. That's at least half of the reason I didn't do a Strickland Duplessis prediction video. The other half
to our fans, man.
You
let them down.
I apologize. I apologize earnestly and honestly. I can't actually. I don't have any real emotion.
So what was your prediction? What would it have been?
My prediction was going to be Driccus Duplessis, probably by finish. And the fact that he let's get into this main event. It was Driccus Duplessis defending his middleweight belt against Sean Strickland. It's a rematch. He beat Strickland in a split decision for the belt. I thought Driccus won that first fight when I watched it that night. I rewatched it last week. I still think Driccus wins rounds 3, 4, and 5. He wins this fight way more convincingly. Just right off the bat, because people are pretending like they forgot that this was a thing. Sean Strickland had an enormous staph infection on his left arm. That's just going to take the fight out of you partially. So as soon as I saw that, I didn't even feel like making the prediction. I beyond just being fucking sick and coughing my brains out. I knew Driccus was going to win because Sean just would not have the stamina to push back once Driccus started to push the pace on him. And that's at least partially what happened. But Driccus had a better game plan this time. I don't think they actually show punches versus kicks on the UFC stat page, but Driccus may have thrown more kicks than he did punches in this fight. His lead leg kicks and switching stances so that he could turn his best kicking leg into a rear power kick as well, utilizing it every round all the time. Kept Strickland guessing. It was a technique from a range where Sean could not jab. So Driccus at least partially neutralized the jab in a way that he couldn't in the first fight. And then when he got into range, boy, can he crack. He obliterated Sean Strickland's nose. Look at that. Isn't that...
They talked about it backstage afterwards, apparently.
Yeah.
Strickland was trying to fix it in the ring or whatever, and he's like, it kind of got back into place, so that you hit it again, it broke it again.
Yeah. It was a slower paced fight, and the Australian crowd was booing. But I think that's partially because it was like fucking Sunday morning in Australia, and they'd stayed up all night for these fights.
And that sucked.
And then like the main event was a little, a dude has his face obliterated.
But yeah, there's a lot of blood going on and stuff, but it was relatively slow paced. I guess in some ways you might argue that is necessary for Duplessis to win, would be to kind of slow this down and try to counter the endless Strickland walk forward and jab at you strategy. But it did get a little tiring circa round 4.
And then he broke his nose in round 4 and it got a little less tiring.
I wasn't watching that.
Yeah, I know you weren't.
I was taking shit.
Round 4 is also the only round where Strickland outlanded Duplessis, and it's because Duplessis was just running onto shit. People are very superficial when they watch the fights. People are fickle. People are out here looking for blood and knockouts and whatever else. And very seldom do they give a fuck about strategy and how fighters are doing what they do. But I'm a dork, so I kind of do.
So is Duplessis ever going to lose again?
I mean, eventually everyone loses. Khamzat may, in fact, be a challenge for Driccus if Driccus gets chinned or something. But I'm pretty sure if Driccus can just take it out of round number 2, he wins the fight against Chimaev. Chimaev has no gas tank, and he always wilts in the later rounds. So that's my early prediction for that fight. But it has to be said that Sean Strickland is one of 2 guys in the UFC that Driccus has fought and not finished. He finished Whitaker. He finished Adesanya. Brunson sucked by the time that Driccus was fighting him, but he still fucking knocked him out on the ground. You know, Strickland was able to avoid getting finished by Driccus, and that's partially why this fight was so slow. Is Sean was just avoiding getting obliterated by the awkward but crushing style of Driccus du Plessis. Endless power shots that aren't that fast, but just have like the literal cartilage and bone crushing potential.
Yeah, that's just not allowed, man. Everyone knows that if you're a fighter, you have to just like stand up and get knocked out. If you do anything else, you're a pussy.
Yeah, right. Also, just worth mentioning that Sean Strickland has defeated quite a few really impressive fighters at middleweight, including Israel Adesanya. He had a pretty mediocre fight with Paulo Costa. And Costa had the right idea in that fight in two ways of trying to deal with Strickland's style, but he just has short arms, so he couldn't get to Strickland. But Nasruddin Imavov, who just knocked out Adesanya, Strickland beat the piss out of him. So a lot of people want to hate Sean Strickland, and for obvious reasons. The dude is like a complete dickhead. He says the stupidest things on the microphone for attention that very clearly his father never gave to him as a child. Haha, Strickland's dad was terrible. Everyone makes fun of it.
It's
But
not funny.
no, it's not funny. But
Oh no, it actually is the end. Sorry, I was just disagreeing with you.
oh yeah, no, I mean, whatever. Sean Strickland is really easy to hate, so a lot of people are jumping on his grave right now. But his style is weird. His style is awkward, and most middleweights can't figure it out. Driccus du Plessis did, so props to him. And he's not ducking Khamzat Chimaev. You know, that's the next fight. And he's already said in the post-fight press conference, which you should watch, because Driccus is actually like a pretty intelligent and funny dude. They asked him how he was going to beat Chimaev. And he's like, counter the jab. No, wait, that was Strickland. Fight for a submission. Wait, no, that was Adesanya. So then he's like, I'll out wrestle Chimaev. There you go. Just...
that's strategizing.
A likable character.
It'll take you far. That's strategizing. If you have the athleticism to back it up.
Yeah, and Driccus is in fact built like some sort of Greek sculpture, so he appears to have the athleticism. Going down the card to our co-main event, another unanimous decision with even less output than Strickland versus du Plessis, but people were much more excited with this one because people love Zhang Weili, and I get it. She has like kind of, when she gets on the microphone, she has like the pure human spirit. She's just trying to get the crowd to cheer. She's not talking about the division. She's not talking about how she's making a statement. She just starts doing the Aussie, Aussie, and the crowd yells back, oi, oi, oi. You know, like just super lovable, and completely flattened Tatiana Suarez. Suarez got a single takedown in round number 1, and then Zhang Weili defends 14 takedown attempts. Just crushes her. At distance, almost knocks her out a few times. Zhang Weili has really obvious weaknesses, and when I watched the Yan Xiaonan fight back last week, I saw a couple of weaknesses. And the fact that Tatiana Suarez's coaches gave her almost no real advice in between rounds, the fact that they didn't plan on using her height and reach advantage to like, oh no, not the jab. Everyone hates the jab. Sean Strickland uses that. But literally, like, Yan Xiaonan just at range using the jab and a few other straight shots because she had a reach advantage, dropped Zhang Weili in almost every round of their fight. And then Zhang had to punch her way into takedowns to beat the fuck out of Xiaonan. I didn't see Suarez throw almost a single fucking punch that landed outside of like panic punching against the cage. Not an impressive performance from Suarez. You could see it. She didn't even want to like shake Zhang's hand after the fight. She's super frustrated, but her coaches failed her too.
I mean, like, I guess so, dude. But like, at some point, you have to do literally anything at all, right? Like,
yeah,
the fact that you're fighting the champion and that's your output. It'd be one thing, you know, if Zhang Weili sucked ass. We've seen WMMA championship fights where it's kind of both sides are just dog shit. But like, Weili was not like doing poorly. Suarez just has absolutely nothing. It's worth noting that Suarez, I mean, she joined the UFC in like 2016 and took a big ass break from 2019 to 2023. But this is actually her first loss to the UFC, right? This isn't like just some like random person they threw in for some reason. She's like theoretically was undefeated at the UFC until this fight, and this is her performance. I don't know, man. A lot of people had her. I think she officially was the favorite by a little bit, which is just like when you look at this after the fact, it's like what do the people in Vegas smoke when they bet on things? But I don't know, man. It was like depressing. It was like, how the fuck do you get here and then perform like that? But I guess she probably knows that. So
Yeah, Suarez was supposed to be an Olympic wrestler, and injuries kept her out of that. And then her big layoff with the UFC, I believe, was fighting cancer. They actually made a joke about it on the weigh-in show. Not joking.
Was it funny?
Kind of. I think it was something about cancer not wanting the rematch with Suarez.
Dude. Actually, honestly, I mean, I hate to say it, but cancer would probably win at this point.
Oh,
after what I just saw, dude. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully there's no rematch there, or Suarez is fucked.
Yeah, I mean, okay. After we recorded the podcast last week, you asked me if Suarez had anything for Zhang, and I said no. And I feel very vindicated.
Yeah, I guess that's all you need to say, man. Just cut the rest of what we said.
No. The one thing that I saw on tape and I didn't see Suarez do in the fight was controlling the hips. Because if you don't control Zhang Weili's hips, and I'll try to splice in the clip here of the fight against Xiaonan, because Xiaonan actually grappled Weili better than Suarez did. If you don't control Weili's hips, look at that. Oh, how did she do that? Now she's on her back. Anyways, moving on. This is one of our two kind of suspect KO wins of the evening. This one wasn't as bad.
Suspect? What are you suspecting?
Well, they're not suspect. It's just referees are so afraid to let a fight play out and see a dude just actually get knocked out. It's weird, right? There's the impossibility of finding a balance between letting 17 unanswered elbows hit an unconscious guy and stopping a fight after the dude touches the mat. Now, Tafa was probably done. I'm surprised. Was surprised after being on the mat, he was able to get to his feet to protest with the referee, if only because of his athletic build. But he did get his nose absolutely crushed by an elbow. But he was, popped right up. He's perfectly fine arguing with the referee. There's the only other knockout on the card. The guy falls funny, but then is not out. What are we? Is this not a blood sport? What are we?
I wonder. This is completely conspiratorial, but when you watch this knockout, it's like the announcers start yelling it's over, it's done. I wonder if the ref hears that sometimes and it's like, oh, okay, fuck, it's done. Because they're close enough that reasonably they would hear them just yelling that, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That's I have no evidence of that, but I just wonder sometimes if that isn't what does it, because there was some, oh, it's over, it's done, and then the ref stopped it. So I don't know. There was a couple. I mean, this one I honestly don't think was that bad. This is one of those ones where maybe he was okay, but I feel like we were talking maybe another 10, 15 seconds, and there would have been a genuine knockout. And yeah, I mean, it would be nicer if they could let it go to that, but at the same time, I don't know, man. Everyone just it doesn't it's such a a lose-lose situation. How do you get the happy answer? If you do it too much in either direction, go back, look at all knockouts and shit, and find the perfect stoppages. Very rarely is there a super oh yeah, that was clearly the perfect moment to stop it, unless it's a walk-off knockout or something. So I don't know, it sucks, but I guess it's kind of just part and parcel of the whole thing.
Very true. It's just been a while since I've seen them let it play out in a way where the dude actually gets obliterated. And like I said, this is a blood sport. Justin Tafa sucks. Both of the Tafa brothers are so bad. It's so funny to see the stats on a fight of a fighter getting 0%, 0 of 1 strikes landed. But Talshin Teixeira looked very athletic, and he's 6'9", so
Big
They're
guy.
they're desperate. They're desperate for a prospect at heavyweight. They just cut Rosenstrike after that fight last weekend, so maybe this is the next guy to get knocked out once he hits the top 5, or just you realize he can't grapple at all, and one of the fat Polish dudes just lays on top of him for 3 rounds. But we'll see. We'll see what happens to Teixeira.
We'll see, man.
Before that, this was a pretty good fight.
Rare decisions.
Yeah, Jimmy Crute has had 2 ties, 2 draws in his UFC career, and he hasn't fought in 2 years, or 18 months, they said on the broadcast. He had considered retiring because he did have a pretty rough string of losses. Like, if we just run over to his record quick, this is pretty bad. So he lost, like his career. This is rough. His last win was against Modestas Bukauskas in 2020. He lost 2 fights, one of them being to Anthony Smith. Then he had a draw with Alonzo Menefield. That's embarrassing. Then he had a rematch and he lost via guillotine choke to Alonzo Menefield. And then he just had this majority decision draw. One of the judges, I believe, did give the fight to Jimmy Crute.
Yeah, I think so.
But, and like realistically, I was wondering, because round 1 probably a 10-8, probably was a 10-8 because Crute was so dominant, almost knocked out Rodolfo at the end of the round. Funny how Rodolfo can fall sideways, but the ref doesn't immediately stop it. But then Rodolfo came back in rounds 2 and 3, really looked impressive, and he did outstrike Crute in rounds 2 and 3, and those low kicks were pretty devastating. Crute could barely walk. So, like, a draw makes perfect sense on this one. And it's surprising when the judges, like, it actually does make perfect sense and they get it right. But hey, there you go. Jimmy Crute probably should retire.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It's been too much. You look at this shit and it's just like, come on, man, put this guy to bed. Is he just like they leave him in because he gets draws?
Yeah, he was like a Dana White's Contender Series guy. He probably had a fight or 2 left on the contract, so they like have to give him the fight. But yeah, like, dude, be a coach, be a trainer, become like a well-paid sparring partner because you have the right build to emulate some other dude. He has good grappling skills. He just does not have the athleticism or the cardio to use them, and like gassed himself out punching on the feet. Not a good look.
Not great.
Let's see. And before that, Jake Matthews versus Francisco Prado. I believe this was a last-minute replacement fight, and Prado is a lightweight who came in to fight at welterweight. Jake Matthews has always been a weird fighter because he seems like he has all of the skills and abilities and athletic abilities to be a top 10 fighter at welterweight, and he's kind of just sat below the top 10 for a long time, getting picked off by guys with real skill. He was able to take this fight, win, but just like so suspect. He's been the sentence. This man has been fraud.
Okay, dude? You're like out of breath.
Well, I'm sick as fuck, and I haven't talked this much in a week.
Well, stop talking, dude.
Ugh. Okay, well, tell me about this fight then, dude.
Yeah,
Fuck.
dude. Prado has a wicked fucking rectangular fucking head. And I noticed that in his debut when he fought Malarkey, who also has kind of a rectangular fucking head. And Malarkey won that fight. So I've always kind of like thought that Prado was just sort of like the inferior rectangle head guy in the UFC. In some ways, this fight, I think, definitively proves that. Very much on the back foot the entire time. Not like doing horribly by any means, but just very distinctly one step below. I don't actually know. Was he actually lightweight coming up? Because if so, then I guess I kind of get it going out of your division, but I thought he was just like welterweight.
Last fight was against Daniel Zellhuber, Otman Azaitar, Jamie Malarkey. Yeah, these guys are lightweights.
Oh, yeah, they are. That's weird. Maybe I thought he was welterweight for some reason. Yeah, he didn't do very good, and it's because his fucking rectangle ass face, dude. I don't know. What else can you say?
Jake
go
Matthews.
to Matthews and then go to Prado and just look at their faces.
They are kind of goofy standing next to each other because Matthews is like way bigger, but his head is still smaller.
Yeah, I don't know. Some weird. I mean, the phrenologist would have gone crazy with this fight.
It's true. I do just have to point out 36% striking accuracy for Matthews. This guy is getting. He has been chinned before. He gets knocked out. He's not ever. I don't think he's going to make it.
It's these not very optimistic about either of these gentlemen, unfortunately. No. Honestly, Prado really does seem like a guy that. I mean, he's pretty young, so as I'm always saying, hope persists for the guy who's like 22. But he's definitely had some rough ones recently. But at the end of the day, lightweight and coming into welterweight, I guess we can't project too much from that.
It's true. Going down the card further, Gabriel Santos versus Jack Jenkins was, in my mind, a sad fight.
Right.
Because Jack, I can't, dude. Jack Jenkins, this is his home crowd. He gets the knockdown in round number 1 with a high kick. It looks like things are going his way. And then Gabriel Santos is just a 200% better grappling. And as soon as he realizes that, he just goes for the takedown immediately in rounds 2 and 3, beats the shit out of Jack Jenkins on the ground and gets that choke. And as soon as it's sunk in, it's over for Jenkins. And I say sad because it was such a smothering performance just instantly after getting hurt. It was like Santos woke up and then he's like, oh, I have to take this guy seriously. And then you saw just how big a difference there was between them in skill and athletic ability. Just demoralizing for Jenkins, I imagine, getting smushed like that in front of the home crowd.
Yeah, it's always rough, but I mean, I guess that is kind of the risk you take, just get into the octagon at all. Yeah, sometimes it does seem to kind of happen where a guy gets rocked and then it's almost like, I don't know, the adrenaline kicks in and then suddenly he remembers that he's like knows how to fight and so on. But this was a very clear, like, dominant wrestling match. You have to watch out for those. As it turns out, many people in the UFC know how to wrestle.
Yeah, and something they mentioned when he was coming out, Gabriel Santos had a close fight with Lerone Murphy on short notice.
Is that true?
That's pretty impressive, actually. So a guy to keep your eye on, this Gabriel Santos. Is his nickname just Mosquito?
No. Mosquito. No.
Mosquito?
Yeah, I'm going to assume that's probably a reference to some sort of thing.
You could be right. All right, quick pause.
Looks like
blow my fucking nose.
Like it might be a plant, dude.
Should leave that in.
Yeah, for sure. It looks like it's a flower. And that might not be what he's referring to, but it looks like it's this delightful flower.
It's pretty nice.
You can't fucking see it.
I'm hearing your description.
Why are you lying to me about having seen it? I mean, this is what pops up when I look it up. So
it's strange that he would name himself after something that looks like baby's breath.
Yeah, that might not even be it, honestly. I think it might just be related because this looks wild. So I'm assuming maybe that's actually it. I have no idea, man. This could be completely wrong. Don't put this in.
Yeah, okay. We'll cut this along with the blowing my nose.
No, put this in, actually. Put this in.
So, before that, we had Tom Nolan versus Vyacheslav Borshev. Vyacheslav Borshev, sorry. Slava Claus. Slava Claus has had a very lackluster career in the UFC. He's been smushed by a lot of dudes just grappling who didn't want to deal with his striking. And Tom Nolan's range and height were just too much for Vyachev to get through. And Borshev lost round number 3, largely trying to get through Tom Nolan's guard and just getting up kicked was really kind of a disappointing performance from Borshev, because I see Tom Nolan as a very beatable guy. He has a lot of physical advantages, and yet he got chinned in one of his first UFC fights. So if you can just get to the target, it seems like you can knock him out, and he gets hit a lot. Borshev having 55% significant striking accuracy. Tom Nolan threw 236 strikes, landed 111 of them, 39% accuracy. And he had less control time than Borshev as well, but he very clearly landed the more significant strikes. And again, that was just because he's like 6'3" at lightweight. As soon as a guy who can run through Nolan, who can ignore those first couple of shots coming down the pipe, because it doesn't seem like Nolan has crazy power. I think Nolan's just getting flattened. I think this is the next James Vick.
Yeah, that was kind of my thoughts as well. This is a guy that if someone is good enough to run him over, if someone is good enough to just walk right at him, essentially, maybe even take a punch and then just get him a few times, he's probably just going to crumble. That's in some ways kind of what happened in his debut fight. Not exactly that, but it was sort of that, with Mota just cracking him in the jaw and putting him down. He's now won 3 in a row, so people are talking about him as if he's got some potential. But to be fair, I mean, Reyes and now Borshev being on that list of wins, I don't think strikes me. Doesn't fill me with confidence for this guy. But I don't know. Maybe, right? I mean, surely he's got to be aware of his weaknesses, and he's going to work around him. He's a young guy, and he's going to build up. Championship bout soon, next year.
Call me. Lightweight is some real deep waters.
Yeah, I don't when you're down in lightweight, it's hard to even begin. It's hard to even breach the surface. Like this guy's at the bottom of the iceberg right now. But I guess to his credit, he is attempting to climb up from the bottom of the iceberg.
My dream matchup for Tom Nolan is Jalen Turner.
It's you and him, man.
Oh, fuck, how tall is Jalen Turner? Because I think he's also 6'3" or something. It says I misspell his name. Tapology will have his height. Yeah, he's also 6'3" with a 75.5-inch reach. Let's see that fight.
Let's go. Dana, you fat fuck. You fat tomato fuck.
Yeah, Dana was tweeting about this fucking fight ahead of time. I told you guys about this Tom Nolan guy.
Yeah, I know it's always a little suspicious when he's doing that.
Whenever that happens, I assume the fighter has rich parents.
I guess, probably, right? I don't know. Or like they chatted and he just said all the right words to Dana.
Yeah, pretty much. I don't like, whatever. There's something about Tom Nolan I don't like, and I'm waiting for him to get knocked out again.
That's just wicked racist against white people.
Against fucking white Australians, yeah. Fucking dirty ass prisoner people.
Imagine being named Brazil and like being from Brazil and then like getting your shit pushed in. This is like a weird mirror to the championship bout that happened between Zhang Weili. But in this instance of Wang Kong and Bruno Brazil, Wang Kong kind of just beat the shit out of Bruno Brazil, and it was relatively enjoyable.
Yeah, it was a pretty good fight. Very one-sided as well. Wang Kong in her last fight was very arrogant and showboated a lot, and then she got caught on the feet and submitted. In this fight, she kept the composure together, and she still has a giant glaring weakness, which is she never moves her head. She only moves back and forth. She never moves her head side to side. So for the couple of times that Bruna Brazil actually like threw back when she was up against the cage, she cracked Wang Kong very clean, and Wang backed off for a while. But outside of that, very dominant performance. She has a really good feinting game. She's really good at managing distance between her and her opponent and knowing when she's close enough to crack the other girl. It's so weird. It's like after she enters, there is a moment where she is so vulnerable. And if her opponent is just cognizant and throws back, she doesn't have a great chin. So I don't know how far she'll make it at flyweight, just with that glaring of a weakness. But it would require a coaching team to actually review tape and know what they're looking at.
Well, she is the Joker, so.
She is the joke. Fucking Bruna Brazil wore a Batman mask to the weigh-ins.
Dude, I don't know, man. Like,
so
whatever.
Cringe.
It's good. It's good. I don't even hate it. It's wonderful. They're having fun. You know, they're giving each other like brain damage. They might as well have some fun while they still can.
I suppose so. Yeah. I'm still just so frustrated with how Suarez's corner was. Right? It's like you're at a title fight level, and all you're saying is, "Okay, breathe. Okay, breathe."
Well, I mean, would you prefer that she didn't breathe?
You know what? Okay. Quick. Editor Francis, see if you can. I might not be able to get the clip because I didn't buy the pay-per-view. But on the way, like before she went to get checked by the official, you know, where they fucking hold out their arms and they make sure you don't have a razor blade taped to your armpit or whatever. She kissed her coach, and I didn't realize that she was dating her coach, Patchy Mix, but I guess she is. And that's always a bad sign for a fighter, is when their boyfriend is in the corner. There's no conflict of interest there. That's not going to cause any issues.
Why? What conflict of interest is there? They have the same interest.
No, just sometimes the coach, like if you saw Sean Strickland's corner, you saw that they were very upset with him, that they had to give him some very stern advice, that they had to try to get him back in that fight. And
yeah, but Sean Strickland's dating his corner.
Well, that's right. I forgot he was gay.
Information. Yeah, he has like a polycule.
Ugh.
Yeah, I need to find a WMA fighter to date and be in the corner in.
Yeah, just make sure she's really good so she doesn't need much advice.
No, dude, it'll be fine. I'll be mean.
Okay.
Cut this part. Yeah, I guess cut this part out now.
Not staying in.
Nah,
that and me blowing my nose.
Yeah, dude.
Before that fight,
his name was Thickness, you know.
Ooh, yeah.
With an E at the end.
This was another late replacement matchup, I believe. Topuria was supposed to be fighting someone else. And if you watch the fights, you know, because they said it 100 times, Alexander Topuria is the brother of Ilya Topuria, current featherweight champion. Colby Thickness the Slickness. That's a pretty good fight name, actually. Didn't look bad, and he was trying the entire time, and he did have some success with his striking, but Topuria was laser focused. He never lowered his guard. He was dangerous in every second of that fight, and you could tell that it was weighing on Thickness. End of round number 1, Topuria finally got his hands really on Thickness, suplexed him. He cracked Thickness a few times with some really powerful shots, but wasn't able to do anything too impressive. But again, this is a late replacement fight, so Topuria didn't have time to prepare for what is like actually a dangerous regional contender in Colby Thickness. So to have this type of an incredibly one-sided 3-round unanimous decision in your UFC debut, and only have some like mild octagon jitters, maybe a little bit of nervousness in the beginning where it looked like he was just ready to throw his right overhand. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, no, he's looking good, man. I mean, I don't know if you knew this, but he's like the brother of the fucking champion. So he's going to win.
135 is a real dangerous division. You know, you got Umar, you got fucking Vinicius Oliveira, you got a lot of dudes in there who are killers. And I'm very interested to see if Alexander is going to filter up to that top 10, that top 5 picture, because that's what people are predicting. But 135, it's a tough division.
It is, yeah. And oftentimes siblings do not do very well. So I would be interested to see if we can break that trend.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, like early, as we were saying earlier, wow, Justin Toffa sucks. One of the 2 Toffa brothers. Being a brother is a pretty bad base for
Yeah.
MMA for some reason.
Being brother sucks ass, honestly.
Yeah. Before that fight of the night, this is Rongzu versus Cody Steele. Very impressive performance by Rongzu. Incredibly fast, very accurate punching, would not get taken down or held down. Cody Steele shooting 4 takedowns, getting 1 in only 6 seconds of control time, could not keep Rongzu on the mat, and in equal measure, could not catch him on the feet. These guys were both throwing at roughly the same clip, 209 to 243 strikes thrown. But Cody Steele only landing 28%. Rongzu hitting that crispy 51%. If you're landing more than you're missing, that is the gold standard. And if we look at these round by round, strike totals, holy moly, Steele's getting beat the fuck up. My only criticism, and I was saying this when the fight was happening, was if you're turning a guy's head around like that for 3 rounds and he can't touch you, but you don't knock him out, that's some suspect power.
Yeah. The level of dominance in this sort of situation that you don't knock him out, everyone's always going, well, good job, but why didn't you knock him out?
And if I just quickly go to Rongzu's record, you have to go to the road to UFC to find a KO TKO. And then, he did have a UFC fight night back in 2021 that he got by TKO. But
yeah, a little bit of a pillow fist scenario. Hate to say it. Can I point something
seems
out?
like it.
Somewhat strange. Yeah. If like on the UFC website on this page,
Mm-hmm.
this if you click on Rongzu's page, what does the URL say for you? Does it say Carlos Ulberg -1?
Okay, hold up. I'm on the UFC stat page. Let me go to the UFC website.
Yeah, it's like I'll just send you the link to it. This doesn't even have to go in. I just noticed this, and I'm like, was this a light replacement? Because Carlos Ulberg's a New Zealand guy, isn't he? And they just shifted the page like this because they for some reason they couldn't do it any other way. If you go down to the Rongzu and then open his UFC page on the UFC,
I do see that. I do see that in the URL.
Carlos Ulberg. I'm because Carlos Ulberg is a New Zealand light heavyweight, I think, which is weird because this is not light heavyweight, it's lightweight. But why is that? Why is it doing that? What's going on? Dana. Do put this in. Put this in the end. Here's the bonus content of why the fuck is Rongzu Carlos Ulberg.
I don't know what's going on there.
I even looked at some of the other last minute replacements just to see it. No one else has that. That's just peculiar.
Yeah, Carlos Ulberg -1.
Maybe he was supposed to be here.
The UFC webpage is strange.
Where is he?
He wasn't even booked.
That's what I mean. The only reason that I think it's kind of interesting is because he's a New Zealand guy, right? Maybe he was at some point intended, and then for some reason they had to reroute it, the URL like that. All speculation, almost completely irrelevant. Interests me.
Is Carlos Ulberg a
Chinese man, dude? China #1?
Shape-shifting man? We just don't know.
Xi Jinping?
Who's the final boss for Mortal Kombat? Who's a shapeshifter? Is that Shao Kahn?
I don't remember his name, but I do remember that is a thing.
Yeah, maybe we got the Shao Kahn thing going on.
Maybe. That'd be pretty cool. They should bring Mortal Kombat shit into the UFC. That'd be sick.
Yeah, they really should. Before that, this fight was disappointing because Kevin Jousset has the skill set and seems like he should be good. And then you watch him lose a fight trading body kicks for 3 rounds, when every time he actually threw punches, it seemed like he just had a clear advantage with the hands and then went back to kind of robotically blocking head kick, throwing body kick, receiving just really weird fight. The numbers are also incredibly close throughout all rounds. Just barely is Jonathan McAuliffe outlanding Kevin Jousset, but he also had much more power and like much louder strikes when they were landing. Very close fight, kind of boring after a while because they were just literally trading body kicks for most of it.
Yeah, kind of a rough opener, or close to opener in some ways. Especially coming after the first fight, which was pretty solid for the 19 seconds it lasted. But this one was just kind of like, it's all right. I mean, like McAuliffe is clearly wins, but it's not by like such an extreme amount that we could sit there and say, oh, it was domination. Usyk could have at any point decided that he wanted to win this fight, and I think he reasonably could have. He just never made that decision for some reason.
Yep. Disappointing, but there you go, Jonathan McAuliffe. You keep telling me to do this, and I'm not sure why.
I don't know. What if it's kind of like a sneak, like, I don't know, like I'm scaring the hiccups out of you type thing. If I just say it at the right time, maybe it'll work.
Okay. Well, it hasn't thus far. So our card opener and editor friend. Okay, real quick. I don't know what happened to the actual fight that was supposed to open the early prelims. I know my Mongolian dude, Art of the Knockout, was supposed to be fighting.
Yeah,
and
he was supposed to be here.
So, sorry, what?
No, I was just agreeing. Yeah, because we talked about that last week, I think.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened to that fight. Editor Francis, if you can find out why that fight fell through, put it here. Cool. But
I know, put the entire fight here because it's like 19 seconds.
Oh no, they would copyright strike me on that shit.
But like put like an anime girl gif like on top of it, because then they like their automated things won't pick it up.
They're actually, I've tried flipping stuff and I still get strikes. I've tried like zooming in.
You do have to do some like pretty crazy shit. I've seen people like, I don't know, they put in like, you have to like put in like layers of like transparency. Seems to work pretty well, but it usually has to be more than one.
Interesting. This knockout wasn't impressive enough to warrant that level of effort. Anshul Jubli, the only man from India in the UFC. There's just a couple telltale signs that a guy's not going to make it. And one of them is a fight name that is just way out of pace compared to where you are in your ability. So King of Lions. There's one red flag on this.
I mean, like, what are you supposed to do though? Like, you don't get to change it later, do you?
Yeah, you can honestly change it.
Name one more than once.
Rory McDonald, Roy Nelson, Bobby Green. Who's now King Green?
What did Nelson change himself to?
He tried to, because he was big country, and for a while he tried to change it to the People's Champion. And he had it on his banner when they still allowed you to have banners in the cage. God, those are the good old days.
It's over.
It really is. Roy McDonald was like the Red King for a little while. He tried Aries. Like, some guys do change their name, and it's usually cringe. But yeah, King of Lions, it's too much, man.
King of losing.
But there's also been a clip going around online of Anshul Jubli saying that he's literally like Khabib. That's another red flag. And a third red flag, and this is tough because you can't control this, and there are ways that you can get around this sort of a physical limitation.
Yeah, I had an erection in the ring.
Yeah, but no one could notice. No. If your reach, which is to say your wingspan, is shorter than you are tall, that's tough for a couple of reasons, but I'll just make mention that Anshul Jubli's reach is 3 inches shorter than he is tall. So he's always going to have a tough time getting to his opponent before his opponent gets to him with punches. And Jubli was trying to throw punches, and he got knocked out immediately.
Yeah. There's really not much more you can add onto it.
No, that's pretty much, I mean, real quick, let's just dance on his grave, because why not? Okay. He has, isn't that something? He wins the road to the UFC Asia competition by a split decision. He has one knockout win via elbows, and that's back in 2023. Then he got knocked out in 2023. And 2 years later, he comes back and gets knocked out in 19 seconds. I don't imagine he has... Like, how many fights are they going to give him on a contract after winning the road to the UFC Asia? Are they going to give you more than 3? Because if not, that's got to be the end of his career.
Yeah, I wonder, man, because, like, you know, he's the only guy from India. That is a huge market, theoretically. Like, maybe they're just going to keep him in to be like, oh, come on, woo, please watch UFC.
You know, poking with the stick. Come on, do something.
Come on. Yeah, this is a guy who's... I could honestly see maybe, like, one more. I think that third loss in a row will probably kill him. But he's not good.
Nope.
And he's not like young either. I'm always talking about young guys, but I mean, like, whatever, you know, 30's not ancient, but, like, you know, this isn't like some 23-year-old that won this shit and got in. It's over.
No, you're not recovering from those KO losses as easily in your 30s. It's pretty much done for him.
Yeah.
Killan Salkilled. Killan Salkilled. This guy is
that's his name,
deadly,
man.
dude. This guy is deadly.
He's
got killed twice in his full name.
He kills.
He slays, man.
I guess this probably was kind of a feed fight that we talk about occasionally, because this was like a, you know, Australian guy, younger, versus, you know,
King of Lions.
the King of Lions.
Oh man, that's so satisfying to see him get KO.
This
like
guy,
that.
why? You got a problem?
No, but it was
Khabib.
so. It's like the very first fight of the card, and you're just getting ready for like a shitty early prelim opener, and it's just immediately he falls sideways.
It's so easy.
Oh, it was so good. Oh, fuck. I am getting better though, guys. Don't worry.
Yeah, it's getting better.
So this has been our little breakdown of UFC 312. I was so excited for the last pay-per-view. I was like, oh my God, the fights this year are going to rock. And then I saw UFC 312 and I was like, oh no. Oh no.
Yeah. You know, Zhang Weili, GOAT of women. And, you know, Tom Nolan, champion, probably in like 3 to 4 months. So.
Yeah, watch out. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
I mean, listening, really. You know, you didn't put anything on screen to watch, so.
I edited shit in, you fucker.
Shut the fuck up.
I'm gonna come get you, you little fucking...
Yeah, you fucking...